Yes.
These are just sort of
Well, and
comments
if
of
we
people?
can do it now.
Yes,
That's a
right
really
now
good
we
thing,
just,
because that's
got any thoughts or comments?
it will be, and I
And
don't
again, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I am so excited that there's sunshine outside. And you know, when the sun shines, we make it feel like it's warmer out. And I didn't wear my coat earlier today and realized that it's not quite spring yet. But it's nice to see the sun shining. I am standing in for Mayor Dennis Tyler, who is on his way, but I know that we want to be very timely and we want to get things rolling and moving along because we want to hear from you. And so as I represent the office of the mayor, I'd like to say thank you for being here this evening. What a great crowd of people. You must have heard about all the fun that we had last night and you wanted to be a part of the process also. I've seen some Post-its already on the papers that are over there, and I believe you have lots of comments to give us and lots of questions to ask. So again, thank you. Thank you to Jenny and thank you to George for all of the work that you're doing, the task force co-chairs, all the work that you have done, and especially to Jamie, who's keeping us focused and keeping us following through. So again, thank you for being here this evening.
Thanks, Terry. We appreciate your being here. And all other elected or appointed officials that are here. I don't know everybody, so I can't identify you per se. Communication is a real challenge, isn't it? The same word can be interpreted in different ways. The same words can be used and spoken in different ways. And so it's a challenge. And I think what we're dealing with is a very complex subject. What I just mentioned is the subject that I call a paradigm. But you know, before I do that, I should say good evening on behalf of myself and the co-chair, Jenny Mills, this is right over here. And that for us, it's been not only a challenge, but a pleasure to be a part of the MAP process. In any event, what I was saying is communication is the challenge. And the words that we use are so important in doing that. So being a pathologist, the words that I use are very significant in the sense that sometimes we call something benign, and sometimes we call something malignant. And the repercussions of that are huge. Sometimes we don't really know. We need consultation, so it takes more time. So I always say to people, it's a mistake to rush to decisions sometimes. So we have to be very deliberate about what we do and try to be very inclusive. And I think that's why things are going pretty well. Tonight, by the way, since it's a nice night and the Big Ten Network has a tournament going, we appreciate your coming. We realize you might all prefer to be home with family or watching a basketball game. So we're grateful that you think this is worth your time. Tonight, what you're going to hear is the first few chapters of the book, the story of the Muncie Action Plan, which is actually more of a process than a plan. It's certainly a moving target. And to keep it moving, we have to have these public meetings. After about 3.5 years of organizing and working and accumulating roughly 12,000 hours, volunteer hours, we thought it was about time to call together the public, not for the purpose of reporting, just reporting, but for the purpose of reporting and then getting your feedback. Because we need to reassess what we're doing, reappraise where we are, and evaluate that, and with what you give us tonight, be able to continue the process going forward. Personally, I think MAP has been a pretty good success so far. I think that a lot of our success can be attributed to the fact that we worked with organizations that were already here. We have allies and partners in several areas, one of which, as you probably know, is Ball State. They've been a great ally and been very helpful in the area, in particular, educational efforts. And then the Muncie City Council, we worked with them and with the public to get the Touring Pool project completed, I guess, 2 years ago, a year and a half ago now. So I think by and large what we've been doing and hope to be doing is successful because it's a community-wide, non-denominational, non-partisan effort. It's a very inclusive, and that's why we do these things we're doing tonight. Our only purpose, as you know, is to facilitate Muncie's continued development into a place we can all be proud of, where we all can live, prosper, and raise our children and educate them, hopefully. I think Muncie Action Plan volunteers have become ambassadors of hope to push constructive dialogue and change in the blue states. So, being old and old-fashioned, I thought I'd close by sharing with you a letter written by a 10-year-old who was participating in a contest in an effort to define neighborhood. In her town, there was a development company that was going to help the town get better, like we hope we are. And so they had a contest to see who would write the best definition of what a neighborhood is. I saw this and it kind of touched me, so I thought I'd share it with you. Remember, she's 10. A neighborhood is a group of houses that are next to each other. The people of a neighborhood work together or watch out for each other. They form groups to raise money for a playground or something like that. And you've all been part of those things, I'm sure. A neighborhood is not just a group of houses. It's a lot of people helping each other and giving things to each other for everybody's betterment. And while that's old-fashioned, I like to think it's something to aspire for and get back to. They say it takes a village to raise a child, and it seems to me like we've lost, in general, have lost our definition of a village. And the neighborhood, of course, going with that. So we're very grateful for the Task Force 2 with Jim Wingate, who's done so much to organize our neighborhoods. Anyway, I'm glad you're here. I appreciate the time you're giving to this effort. My final job is to introduce Jamie Green, whom I've gotten to know pretty well, as has everybody else that's been involved with the Muncie Action Plan since it started. Jamie was one of, I think, 6 or 8 applicants for the job that this represents. And I wasn't a part of that selection process, but the people that were made a good choice. Because in my 3 years of working with him, he's really been good for us. But Jamie is a principal at ACP Consulting, which is a visioning firm, consulting firm out of, whose main office is in Columbus, Ohio, but who has clients nationwide. Some of whom were small towns like ours, and in which there was a major educational institution. So that was a good choice, I think. In any event, we're at this point, we'll turn this part of the program over to Jamie Green. Buckeye.
I'm afraid my friendship with George might be in jeopardy if Ohio State and Indiana meet each other here in a couple of days. So it is a great pleasure to be back here in Muncie. And I was thinking as George was making the introduction that I've been trying to do some reflection in my life recently and really trying to be attuned to where and how do I get sort of positive energy. You guys might think about people or experiences you have on any given day, and some of those probably give you positive energy, and there are probably some of those that just sort of, take some of that energy away. Muncie, and working with George and Jenny, their board, is an energy giver for me. So the opportunity to be back here with you and to be inspired about what is happening here is really, really positive for me. So I'm glad to be back. I am well aware that it was just about 2.5 years ago that the Muncie Action Plan was finalized. And I think what you're going to hear tonight is a fairly what I believe from an outside observation, a pretty remarkable and robust feat in 2.5 years of what I probably would have expected the progress to be more like the 5 to 7 year sort of time frame. If you think about whatever you hear here tonight has been done principally by a group of volunteers, it really is pretty remarkable. And the fact that all of you are here tonight, I think, is even more optimistic about what the potential is. I would, you got introduced to George and Jenny, but there are other people from the MAP board here, the task forces. For those of you who are involved in MAP right now, could you raise your hands? There's a number of you. Great. And how many of you were present in any of the MAP events over the last 3.5 years? Excellent. So there are some new folks here and some of those that have been with us. So I hope you came here tonight for a couple of reasons. You may have come here for others, but I hope you came here tonight because you were really curious about what has happened in your community in this period of time. What has this MAP effort been about? But I also hope that you came here with the mindset of being helpful, right? How can you be part of this process? So the agenda that we have tonight is I'm going to share with you this report card. And this is basically a self-reporting process by the board. But we're here tonight to see if what the board assesses for themselves as the stewards of your agenda for the future, is that consistent? So we're going to share kind of the self-reporting, and then we're going to ask you in small groups to help us do two things. One, we're going to ask you where in this MAP agenda can we give additional momentum? And then the other part we're going to ask you is, are there anything missing? You know, it's been 3.5 years since we started this process. It's been a year and 2.5 years since the plan was finished. Where are those other things? Where are those other opportunities? So we really want to hear from you on that tonight. So solid planning, good planning, really requires regular evaluation, right? I'd like to think that what you're doing here as a community, that you've started to get some really good momentum, but that is no time to stop. Which makes me think about a quote from Will Rogers, who said that even if you're on the right track, and I believe MAP is on the right track, then you could still get run over if you don't keep moving, right? So we want to keep moving here in the spirit. I see some younger folks out there who just are scratching their head about who is this Will Rogers guy, right? I teach too, and I mentioned George Burns the other night in class to 20-year-olds. Who is George Burns? I said, you know, he was in that movie with John Denver. Oh God, anyway, who is John Denver? So I need to work on my more relevant cultural references. But so I want to, there are a number of ways we want your feedback tonight. Is one, there were the agenda, the report cards were laid out here, and some of you took the time and put some Post-its on there. You also should have picked up a comment card. So if I make a reference to something and you want to make a comment about it, you've got that. But then the real work, I think, is in the small groups tonight, where you can actually dig a little bit deeper into these topics. So I'm going to try to talk here quickly so you can get into those small groups. But the report card for MAP. So just as a refresher, the Muncie Action Plan had 5 initiative areas. They took those thousands of ideas that were generated early in the process and distilled them into 5 buckets, if you will. And each of those buckets then has a part of the agenda, which totaled 47 specific actions. And we defined those actions as a project, a policy, or a program. So there were 47 of those.